and 7 Spanish angels took another angel home. Hey, I'm Willie Nelson, and you're watching HempRock TV. We don't run, and we don't compromise, we don't quit, we never do.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Master Sergeant Tony Vance, the voice of Freedom's Voice. Here we are with Grandpa's World War I veterans cap on, flight cap. Freedom Isn't Free coffee cup from the American Veterans Disabled for Life Memorial. That's the one for me. Hey. Insurrection Part 3. And I got to thinking about this. It was a rebellion. They were rebelling against the established government at the wish of a president who lost the election. Call this one The View from the Top. Looks like the last 2 episodes, the committee has gotten to the top of the tree. Talking about Trump inciting the crowd and then gleefully watching on television as all hell broke loose. You know? These episodes exposed the private militias and how they were all in coordination with simply one goal in mind: to keep Donald Trump as the leader of America, whether he had to be a dictator or what the hell, they were going to keep him in office. And once he was in, you know he would never leave. He didn't leave the first time. He's not going to leave the second time. That's for sure. But these militias, they were reconnoitering the place. There were several Republican legislators who conducted tours the day before, and all tours were supposed to be called off because of COVID and all that. And they were doing that, which was actually a recon. They were doing recon on the Capitol to decide how they were going to get in come the next day. And all the text messages and stuff between all these groups, they all show that. They all expected to invade the Capitol, overthrow the government, and make Trump the president for life or whatever the hell. There was no doubt. I mean, they had weapons. Let my people in. The weapons are not to harm me. Well, then who in the hell are they to harm? He wanted those people to not to have to go through the metal detectors. He knew they were armed. He fired them up. He's the one, we're going to go to the Capitol. We're going to march down here. We're going to go to the Capitol. I'll be with you. He thought he was going to march into the Capitol with all these people behind him, and all these people were going to declare him the president. And this is a perfect example of why we need to teach our children critical thinking. Because what the hell did he think was going to happen after that was done? Honestly, what did he think? Did he think that the legitimate government was just going to roll over and allow that to happen? I mean, even as near back as the 1920s, they would have come in blazing and killed them all. If they'd had to, they resisted. They had weapons. I mean, that woman was shot trying to get in the door. It was a rebellion, not an insurrection. It was a rebellion. Trump encouraged his supporters instead of telling them to go home. He waited for something like 187 minutes before he said anything to them. We love you. Everything's okay. Go home. We love you. He expected to go to the Capitol and lead them into the building. You know, and I like what Ms. Cheney said. This guy is not dumb. He suffers from rampant narcissistic personality disorder, but he's not dumb. He knew what he was doing. He's known it all along. And all the people around him treat him like he's, oh, well, it's not really his fault. It's this, it's that. Baloney. And I like what she said. He's a 76-year-old man. He's responsible for what the hell he does. And half the shit he's done, if you or I did it, we'd be in jail already, and everybody knows that. Think of the 20s and 30s in Germany. These militia groups were his brown shirts, his muscle. You get the crowd fired up. You get his muscle all in there working, getting the crowd going. They've already scoured out what's the best way to get into the Capitol. And away they went. Before the rally ever started, they were scouting it out. This was the plan. You've got the fake electors plan where we're going to substitute fake electors for the real electors. And that didn't work. And then they were counting on Pence to proclaim he had the authority to just say that these electors are invalid and these electors are valid, and Trump's electors would be named, and he would arise to be the new next president, or remain in office, which is what this all shit is about. Keeping him in office. He don't care if it destroys our democracy. All he wants to do is be president. That's it. He's a con man. He's a jerk, number one, but he's a con man and a crook from the very beginning. And a nut. He is actually, and you can dig it up somewhere, he actually would call radio stations and pretend he was somebody else, some other big shot, talking about how wonderful Donald Trump is. And you know his voice, you hear it, you go, oh, that's him. What kind of nut does that? His self-promotion is off the wall, you know. And nobody, of course, with his narcissism, nobody exists in the world but Donald. Even his therapist's sister said he was a nutcase. But there also is something in him that he enjoys watching other people get hurt. He enjoys watching other people suffer. I think he does. He didn't give a whit about the people who are being hurt by his mob. He doesn't care about anybody but Donald Trump. And, you know, the people doing the hearing, the January 6th investigation, they've walked right up the chain, and here we are at the top, the view from the top, right? He wasn't lied to and is innocent. The sad thing is the people around him knew what he was doing was corruption, knew how he was acting was wrong, knew that all his shit wasn't right. And what did they do? They waited till the very last minute. The very last minute. The Secret Service said, no, sir, we are not going to drive. We got to go back to the White House. We're not taking you to the Capitol. And as been documented, he tried to grab the wheel. And when he couldn't get the wheel, he went after the one guy's throat. He knew. He knew right then. That was it. If his guys got in and proclaimed themselves in control of the Capitol, and he managed to get over there, he was sure he was going to be proclaimed a leader. And that, you know, And that would supposedly be it. And he had Giuliani and all these crazy people running around the night before trying to convince him to seize the voting machines. This guy was a crook from the beginning. I did an episode titled Seize the Ballots, where he said we have to get rid of the ballots. He's talking about the election. Well, we'll have to get rid of the ballots. What the hell is he talking about? Just what he's done. He's tried to invalidate people's votes. He's called and put pressure on local election officials, particularly Republican ones in swing states, to come up with votes to change the outcome of what happened in those states like Wisconsin and Arizona and all that. And then his last oomph was to physically invade the Capitol, run out all the hang Mike Pence and run out all the legislators and stuff and take over the country. And that's what his little army was supposed to do, his brown shirts. Now, if the Republican Party is stupid enough to run this guy in 24, they deserve everything they get. And if America is stupid enough to elect him, it deserves everything it gets. This guy needs to be charged, and all his clown friends along with him, the ones who knew and did nothing. Doing nothing is just as bad as doing something sometimes. During the amount of time when the rebellion was going on, the White House photographer wanted to take pictures and was not allowed to. During that 187 minutes when Trump sent on his ass, he may act like a child, but like Ms. Cheney said, he's a 76-year-old man. He's responsible for what he does. And what he's done is tried to overthrow the government of the United States and proclaim himself our leader for however long he felt like staying. Think about that. We come that close to losing everything. And people still online, you see people online, all the wonderful things Donald Trump, I think they had some accomplishments in foreign policy dealing with the Chinese. But as far as I know, that's about it. You could say the tax cuts, but the tax cuts for the wealthy were permanent, and the tax cuts for guys like you and me were expired in 5 years. Another scam, another ripoff. We just stop giving money to wealthy people and corporations. They're already wealthy. They don't need it, and they're not going to invest it. Give it to poor people, they'll spend it, that'll create demand. That's what you should be doing. You should be creating legislation that makes the lives of the people better instead of this stupid bickering. And I think Republicans would rather do a gotcha on Democrats than actually pass some legislation that might improve somebody's lives. They failed to vote to renew the child care money. Why? That's money that automatically spent. That'll go right back into the economy and drive the economy. Well, I don't understand it. I don't know what it is with this party that's so focused on power that they're willing to allow this con man to take control of their party and drive it into the ground. Suddenly, the Republican Party has no integrity, no morality, and doesn't give a whit about the actual people who put them in office. If they did, they'd vote for policies that improve their lives. But no, they're more installed on staying in power, and that's why a lot of them supported the hijinks of this crooked president. the view from the top is there's a whole lot of people besides Trump that need to be charged. But more than anything else, this man needs to be brought up on charges and convicted and sent to prison. And put a stake in the heart of this desire for some kind of stupid ass civil war. Oh yeah, we're gonna when the war comes, and what the hell are you talking about? You're creating it. You're so focused on making whoever the other is even a badder person, a nastier person, so it's easier to kill him when the time comes. That's how they do that. Denigrate the other guy so, it's easier. It's insane. You need to elect people who be willing to work with people on the other side to get things done. Democrats shouldn't have to take complete control of the government in a massive voter slide so that they'll be in control enough to get stuff done and protect women's rights and undo the damage that's been done by these 4 justices. And they come back, they make that ruling on whether what the founders meant by legislative body includes or does not include the Supreme Court of a state. If they rule it doesn't include the Supreme Court of a state, look out. Because whatever party is in control of that legislature, they can change the election if they want. There's no Supreme Court in the state Supreme Court to stop them. All this stuff is to keep Republicans in power. There's nothing in there to improve your life or make our lives better. The big grab was supported by people who want to see Republicans in power and are willing to put up with the lawlessness and the shenanigans of Donald Trump and his minions. They were willing to put up with the damage to our country. They're willing to put up with the possibility of losing our democracy just to stay in power. They don't care if we lost our democracy. Joe Manchin is a perfect example of somebody more focused on his own personal wealth and his own personal well-being and not focused on doing things to improve the lives of the citizens he represents. So, we're the Ms. Cheney and those people on the committee have said that they ain't done yet. They're taking August off. They've got all kinds of information that they need to go through, and there'll be more hearings in September. But there is no doubt that crime after crime was committed by this president. And it's going to be interesting to see exactly what charges the Justice Department comes out with, because he must be charged. If he isn't charged, it'll happen again. If he isn't charged, it'll also allow him to run for office in the fall, in 2024. He's already talking about announcing his campaign, like that will somehow keep him from prison. And if Republicans are smart, they will not nominate this butthole to be their leader and to run for president in 2024. It is not worth the damage to the country and the people in this country that would come if this guy was elected again. But the people, God bless their black, flabby little hearts, I like to say, will do what they do and then bitch about it later. Well, there you go. Resurrection Part 3, the view from the top is we need to lop off the top and send it to jail. That's that. my cancer. I'm still on the oral cancer. Matter of fact, today's Sunday. I started again this morning on the week on, week off. This is a week on. I get a scan in August, and I see the cancer guy in September, and we'll see what happens. But I'll tell you what, check this out. My hair's coming back. And I'm 71. I fully expected it to come back gray, but it is coming back brown. And this is too... I've been lucky. But I think the cannabis oil had a hell of a lot to do with it. Even though my cancer doctor will not admit it. Either way, I'm still alive and doing damn good. And that's it for this time. We'll hang out and have a good time and come up with something, and see you next time.
Hi, I'm Willie Nelson, and the Willie Nelson Teapot Party and I endorse Veterans for Medical Cannabis Access.
Just roll me up and smoke me when I die.